Winter is upon us. It's a season I both love and loathe in a way. I love that it's a holiday season and the time of year I get to gather with family after so much time away on the road. It's a respite from the dog days of summer when we can once again break out our sweaters and boots. It can also be incredibly challenging for those that call the road home. It's a challenge I have faced for 6 winters since I got on the road in 2019. Many of the locations I love to visit are blanketed in snow. I once again have to ask myself, where will I go? We will be enjoying these biscotti that my brother gave me with our coffee this morning. That's actually really good. Well, good morning from beautiful Big Sur, California. I visit here from time to time, usually around winter time. The climate here is pretty temperate all year round, and it's one of the most beautiful places in California, in my opinion. It's rugged coastline where the mountains meet the ocean. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm here at the Pfeiffer Big Sur State Park campground. I've never camped here before. It's gorgeous. This is the Big Sur River Gorge. And along with showing you beautiful Big Sur in this video, I also want to share some tips of how I survived the past 6 winters living on the road full time. Tips that I can give you if you are on the road of how you can deal with winter, because that can be a tricky time for people that live in RVs, vans, buses, cars, any type of vehicle dwelling. It can be kind of a stressful time, really. And one of the things that I do is I oftentimes visit the West Coast, which is where I am right now. It can get cold here. It's chilly here this morning, but it's not as cold as the mountainous areas that I typically travel to and travel around. It's much more temperate. I think the low here this morning is in the mid-40s. We're here in the shade, we're here in the trees, the big redwood trees around us, so it definitely feels cold. There's a breeze this morning. It feels a little bit more chilly. But the daytime temperatures are going to warm up into the mid-60s today. So without further ado, let's get to it. Big Sur is so beautiful. If you've never been here, I highly, highly recommend it. It is a long and winding road getting here, but it's so worth it. Unfortunately, part of the road is closed right now, so we had to come in through the Monterey side, and just below us, about maybe 10 miles or so from here, the road is closed and there are no detours, so you either have to come up through the south end and then you can only go so far, or the north end and then you can only go so far. But most of the most beautiful locations, I think, are in this area near kind of Big Sur proper, the town. So that's what we decided to do. We decided to come here. I didn't bring the trailer on this excursion because, for one, the temperatures are much more mild, so camping with the truck is not really an issue. When the lows are in the 40s and the highs are in the 60s, it's comfortable sleeping out of the truck, but also because my next destination is not very trailer friendly, or my final destination on this little stretch is not trailer friendly. I'll be heading down to my mom's. I'll be dropping Joey off at LAX and then ultimately landing at my mom's, which it's not really conducive to having a trailer down there. As you can see right now, I'm wearing a nice warm puffy coat. It is a down coat, and one of the other tips I'd like to give you is to make sure that you have the proper clothing for winter. You're gonna need lots of layers, you're gonna need good jackets. Sometimes these jackets can be rather pricey, but it's well worth the money if it's gonna keep you warm. Some good boots, socks, shoes. Be prepared for any type of weather. You wanna have some solid rain gear. You wanna be prepared for anything. Having the right clothing can make life much more bearable during the winter. Since we knew we weren't going to get any sun inside the campground for quite a while, we decided to come make breakfast here at one of these turnouts with a gorgeous view. The sun feels amazing. It feels really nice and warm right now. I had to take off my puffy, and that's what I'm talking about. Generally, even through the winter, there's a lot of sunny days from Central California south, and it can be warm enough to have a beach day, really. As you start making your way up towards Northern California and the Pacific Northwest, it can be quite chilly, rainy, cloudy, but still not too bad through the winter. What a beautiful view. So I guess what I'm getting to this morning is the coast is a great place to venture to during the winter time, where the climate will be more temperate. If you've noticed over the years, I have gravitated to the coast during the winter. I did a backpacking trip on Catalina Island, which is 20 miles off the coast of California, in January. It was rainy, it was muddy, but it was still very doable and not too bad in terms of comfort and temperature. It was pretty awesome. And then there's always Florida. That's another place that you could visit during the winter. And then a lot of people who live on the road full time venture down to Baja, Mexico. I don't particularly feel safe going down to Mexico, so it's not something that I have done, but a lot of people swear by it and say that it is safe and spend their entire summer down there. So that's something to look into depending on your comfort level. There's always Baja, Mexico. So coastal areas are great unless you're on the East Coast. I don't know a whole lot about the Northeast Coast. I think it can be pretty winter-like up there, but here on the West Coast, it's beautiful during a lot of the winter. We are in December right now, and this is what it looks like here. I'm gonna have to continue taking layers off. Big Sur has been called the longest and most scenic stretch of undeveloped coastline in the contiguous United States. We were on our way to a must-see stop, McWay Falls. Sur typically enjoys a mild Mediterranean climate with a sunny, dry summer and fall and a cool, wet winter. Coastal temperatures range from the 50s at night to the 70s by day from June through October, and in the 40s to 60s from November through May. Because Big Sur is such a rugged coastline, there aren't many beaches that you can access. This is one that you can. We are at Andrew Malera State Park, and there is a trail to the beach. So that's what we're doing right now. Doing a little hike to the beach. Yep, it's a full-on beach day in December. Something to be mindful of if you do decide to travel to the coast in the winter is that there isn't a whole lot of free camping. So for those of you that rely on boondocking, public lands, BLM lands, Forest Service lands, there isn't a whole lot of that, especially the closer that you get to the coast. So likely you will need to pay for camping, and it can be quite pricey. So that brings me to the next option for nomadic wintering, and that would be the deserts. The Southwest is filled with deserts that have a lot of free camping. Everybody knows of the famous Quartzsite in Arizona, where many nomadic vehicle dwellers winter for the entire season, and Arizona is a great place. I have only been to Quartzsite once, believe it or not. I've spent one night there, but I have traveled to the Superstition Mountains. I usually, if you follow this channel, know that I go there about once a year. That is an excellent option. California has a lot of desert that you can go down to, Borrego Springs, lots of free camping, so that is a wonderful option if you want to camp for free. And there is just about endless options for the desert, for desert camping. Well, that was a nice, just chill afternoon on the beach. I feel kind of like Jello right now because I'm so relaxed. But it's needed. It was needed. It's been kind of hectic over the Thanksgiving holiday, so it was just what the doctor ordered. We came back to camp really quickly because we wanted to change, get some warmer clothing on, and head back to one of the pullouts to make dinner. We're gonna make tacos and have a beautiful view of the ocean because it is quite dark and cold in here, and it'd be nice to catch a sunset here on our last night in Big Sur. But I did want to go over something before we head over there, and that is, as I mentioned earlier, having good gear, clothing-wise, is super important to get you through the winter, but also your sleep system is incredibly important. So normally I'm not set up here in a tent, but what happened is our campsite backs up basically right onto the trail for the River Gorge Trail, the Big Sur River Gorge Trail, and so people were walking by and looking right into our living space. So we set this tent up tucked away in the trees for more privacy. So this setup is normally in the back of my truck, and I will show that to you tomorrow when it's set up when we go to our next camp. So what I have here is an air mattress, just a cheap Walmart air mattress, and that I would not recommend. There is no insulation in this mattress, and the cold comes right up through it. What I do is I put a wool blanket on top, and then the sheet, and then another sheet, a top sheet, and then another wool blanket, and then I have this down comforter, and I sleep on my Thermarest NeoAir X-Therm on top of the air mattress. This bad boy here has a very high R value, and the higher the R value, the more insulation and warmth it gives you. You could sleep on this on the snow almost and stay warm. I know people do sleep on these air pads on the snow, and it keeps them warm. And I use that in combination with my 0-degree bag when it's cold. And those two things combined keep me warm, very warm and toasty, down into the mid-20s, I'd say. Once you start getting into the teens, then it could be a little bit more iffy, but I try not to go to any locations during the winter that are going to get into the teens. However, it would probably keep me warm enough to survive even in those temperatures. This is my backpacking setup also, but I use it out here for camping as well when I'm camping out of the truck. So for those of you that have not seen my truck setup, again, I will show you that tomorrow with all of this in the back of my truck. This would be a setup for somebody maybe living like out of a truck or out of a van, out of a car potentially. Now, if you have a travel trailer or an RV, which I also have a travel trailer, then you wouldn't need something like this. I have a regular mattress in my travel trailer, and I do have a propane furnace. However, you do have to keep an eye on your propane if you're going to be using the furnace, and I generally don't use it overnight. I just use it to warm things up just before I go to bed and to warm things up in the morning. Now, out of the truck, I can use either a diesel heater or a Mr. Heater Buddy, which I've been using a Mr. Heater Buddy if needed, but that's pretty much on the rare occasion because I do tend to follow the more temperate climates, and with this system here, that works out just fine. So even though I follow the temperate climates, it can still get bitterly cold by both the coast and in the desert. The deserts can get very cold overnight. So for me, it's really important that I have the proper gear, clothing-wise, and also for my sleep system. Who needs quartz countertops when I have this? As we headed to our next destination the following morning, we got to witness the last supermoon of 2025. The moon is called the cold moon because in the northern hemisphere it marks the beginning of winter and is close to the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. This is how my bed is normally set up, not in the tent. And then when I'm solo, I actually have a different setup. If you'd like to see a tour of my no-build truck camping setup, I will leave a link for that below. Obviously, I'm catching up with you here on the next day. We saw the beautiful supermoon this morning. It's the last supermoon of 2025. It's called the blue moon, and I'm so glad that we caught it. The campground last night was just lit up by the moon. It was so beautiful. It's been a long day of driving. It's been about 6 hours of driving to get down here to Leo Carrillo State Park Campground. We are about, I don't know, just a few miles north of Malibu Beach, California, and we're about an hour north of LAX, which is where I'll be dropping off Joey tomorrow to fly home to Florida. He'll be flying home to Florida. LAX is Los Angeles International Airport. So we'll be getting up bright and early to do that. I don't think I'll be needing my 0-degree bag tonight or my Thermarest NeoAir X-Therm because it is beautiful today. It is about 70 degrees here at the beach. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is a beach day. I wanted to end on one more option for wintering as a nomad, and that would be to winter somewhere where it's actually winter. I did that one year in Utah, and it was kind of fun. It's kind of a neat experience if you're able to pull it off. I was lucky that I was able to stay on my sister's property. I was plugged in, so I had heat and all of that. And I did go out on little excursions in my old truck, pretty much set up like this, to various locations that were not too far away, and I got to experience winter, and that was really cool. For the hardy individual, that could be really fun, but that requires a whole other checklist of items that you would need. You would definitely need to make sure that you're geared up properly to handle winter conditions. But I hope that I have shown you that there are many options, and it doesn't even have to be for people that live the nomadic lifestyle. It could just be for people that want to travel during the winter months, that there are many options that are totally doable and that have temperate climates that could still be very enjoyable, where you don't have to drive snowy, mountainous, sketchy roads. There's lots of options, although definitely not as many as we have in the summer months. I'm glad that I was also able to show you a little bit of Big Sur. It's such a beautiful place, absolutely gorgeous. If you ever get the chance to visit there, I highly recommend it. Also, if you all have options of areas that you can visit during the winter months that are within temperate climates or easily doable, I'd love to hear below. Go ahead and drop them below, or any other suggestions of how to gear up or how to prepare for winter that you guys want to mention. Feel free to drop those in the comments below. As always, I thank you all for joining me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you want to hype this video, that would be awesome. And I appreciate you all very much, and if you're new here, welcome. I will see you all on the next adventure, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.